This is a brief explanation of how to use the prisoner rule violation guide, which is usually referred to as the misconduct book. And this is from the Michigan Department of Corrections. There are three different types of misconducts. They are class 1, class 2, and class 3. Class 1 is the most serious, and as you can see, each misconduct has a code that then goes on the incident report. So usually on the incident report, we put the code and the type of incident. So assault and battery, if it's against a prisoner, would be 007. If it's against a staff member, we would have assault and battery 008. And 009 is an other victim, somebody that is not affiliated with the prison, maybe a maintenance worker that comes in or a visitor, etc. The second is class 2 misconduct violations, and these can be changed to class 1 by a hearing officer if the circumstances call for it. Out of the class 2 misconducts, the one that's used probably the most is a DDO, disobeying a direct order. So if an officer gives an inmate order to move or lock up and the inmate doesn't do it, then they would write him up for a 420, disobeying a direct order. The third type of misconduct are just what we would consider minor misconduct violations, class 3. Contraband, let's say they have too many packages of coffee in their cell. Horseplay is where they're messing around and where they could possibly get hurt. Out of bounds or out of place means that the inmate is supposed to be at a specific time in a specific location and isn't. So let's say that the inmate is going to school, supposed to be there at 10 a.m., but at 10:02, he's looking at a bulletin board that lists jobs within the facility. An officer could give him a warning, or if the inmate kind of gets smart mouth, then could give him a temporary out of place, out of bounds. And usually misconduct violations of class 3 are usually taken care of with top lock, which means that they are locked in their cell for a specific period of time. And a lot of times they are not limited from a lot of activities within the prison. So one of the things that makes this so easy to use is that MDOC has basically written out questions that you should ask yourself to make sure you charge right. Charging correctly is really important because, one, if you mischarge somebody, it'll get thrown out at the hearing. But also, particularly with class 1s, you want to have the charge correct because class 1s could be charged criminally as well through the state police. So let's just look at assault and battery, and we have decided that a prisoner is the victim. So on the misconduct report, we would put assault and battery, and we would put the number 007. Before we fill out our incident report, we want to reread what assault and battery means. Intentional, non-consensual touching of another person done either in anger or with the purpose of abusing or injuring another. Physical resistance or physical interference with an employee. Injury is not necessary, but contact is. So P stands for prisoner. Did prisoner cause a non-consensual contact with another person? So yes or no, and how did they do it? Those are things that we'll write in our report. 2, was the victim injured? So we want to note any injuries, and we could back this up with medical if it's a serious injury. 3, did P resist or interfere with staff? How? And that would be, did P, when we look up above, staff victim 009, Now, can an assault and battery be a combination of these? Yes. An inmate might start out assaulting a prisoner, and when the staff are breaking it up, they assault the staff. So the hearing officer then would, when reviewing the misconduct, would then look for these things. Was there non-consensual physical contact? Was it intentional? Was the contact done in anger or with the purpose of abusing or injuring the victim? Was the confrontation not mutual? So if one person punches another and the other person, let's say it was a blind punch, the other person wasn't expecting it, it would be an assault. But if the two inmates get into it and they're arguing over whose girlfriend's prettier and they both participate, it's a different charge. It's fighting. P was not the victim. So P has to be the aggressor only. P did not act in self-defense. In other words, once again, they're the aggressor. So then they give you an example to decide if this is the correct charge. So here is an example: throwing urine or feces or spitting on another person, physically resisting staff efforts to apply restraints. Note, the victim of an assault and battery should not be charged with this violation. So you can go through and look at this book. Each charge will have these questions, and that's what you want to review before you write your misconduct reports. And so we're going to go over several types of misconduct reports, and you're going to have to decide. So you use this book to decide what to charge. The other thing that makes a good misconduct is when you make sure that you have all the points of the definition in and they're fully explained. So if somebody is injured, you tell how, where, so that it's documented. And then if something goes on, then you would supplement that with the nurse report. And we'll talk a little later about this. But this is kind of the review of the misconduct book.